Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramit. I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana, South America. On Coffee Commerce, we don't only just talk about coffee and business, but the stories behind coffee, how coffee has influenced society, cultures, nations, and ideas, as well as commerce. There appears to be some conflicting stories in England about the first coffee house. Pascal Rosé was indeed the first coffee house to open in London. It appears that a London Lebanese Jewish entrepreneur known as Jacob opened the first coffee house in Oxford called the Angel. Today, another coffee house exists in this location called the Grand Cafe on High Street. Shortly after the Angel opened in Oxford, another Jewish entrepreneur named Jobson opened the Queen's Lane Coffee House, just 100 meters from the Angel. A third was opened shortly after, a couple years later, by Arthur Tilliard. With this, coffee was now established in the West. Of these new establishments, it would be Tilliard's which would set the standard for coffee houses of the future. Why Oxford? What attracted coffee houses to Oxford? Or perhaps the question is, what attracted Oxford to embrace coffee houses? In part, it was due to a large concentration of academics in Oxford who were expanding interests beyond the current culture. With this, they would have likely known about the coffee house trends in Europe and in the Ottoman Empire. With a focus on more educated middle-class patrons in Oxford, Tilliard charged 1 pence to enter the coffee house and 2 pence for a cup of coffee. This was considered expensive, or at least a premium, for beverages of that day. But this allowed access to not just drinking coffee, but also various newspapers, pamphlets, broadsheets, lectures, and even ballads. This business model proved successful, making it a good business proposition for the coffee house owners, and making it a value-added proposition for the patrons. Future coffee houses would follow suit, developing the early nickname penny universities. Even though the price for coffee was a bit of a premium for coffee houses, it was not out of reach for all locals. This meant that less well-off locals and travelers who couldn't normally access education at Oxford could begin to mix and to discuss subjects with Oxford lecturers, professors, and students, some of which spent more time in the coffee houses than they did in the classroom. This newly inspired youth of Oxford made up the majority of coffee house patrons. It was also a time when there were no common rooms in universities, so this was an ideal place to gather. Students flocked to penny universities to meet, to discuss, to study, to debate their specific subject areas. In fact, so popular were the student numbers in the coffee houses that in 1679, the local mayor attempted to restrict when coffee houses could be opened. This was met with little effect, and the craze for coffee houses continued. How coffee houses and penny universities would influence society in England is another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.